So today I'd like to introduce someone, the person behind the camera, right? But he's not just that for me. He's someone that's been here, there, for every single portion of the chaotic bliss that is Maham. He has watched me evolve over the course of at least half a decade. I'm really bad with numbers.
What I remember is the evening that we got really close was January 2nd of 2022, and that Maham told me
she was arrogant. Sorry to interrupt you, but she was an arrogant little prick.
But she said, I can do anything, and I didn't doubt that for a moment. And then I don't know if I think it was the next day. It was either the next day or the day after that. After that shoot, you forwarded me some writing that you had done.
Yeah, because I write poetry, and I've written that for my whole life.
And so I get this, and again, when I didn't have any doubts about you, but then I get this writing from you, and I'm like, and literally my reaction to it was, holy shit, this chick could be the next Marianne Williamson.
Oh my gosh, and I wore her mic, y'all. Is this odd or God? I don't know.
So you've had that mic on before. I'm surprised that you didn't tell me.
I'm sure you did. I just forgot. Y'all, I'm Dory the fish from Finding Nemo. Welcome to ADHD. When people ask me, can I keep a secret? I'm like, I don't know, but I can promise you I can forget one. So I probably forgot.
So, but what you introduced me to that evening was that you were specifically talking about it in book terms, but I was thinking about it in podcast and video terms, which is kind of where we are at this second, where we've tried to be at several points for the last couple of years.
Why would anyone want to watch me?
Well, so this is the experiment that we just agreed that we were going to run.
Because the truth is, I'm dramatic. I'm a lot. I'm intense. But would you say that I'm being honest when I say that this time it's really bad?
We've had a discussion that we're not going to say everything that was discussed in that, but yeah, we've been in this area before, but it's definitely worse this time around.
Yeah. And I've been pretty open in my journey with depression and, PTSD, anxiety in my, other social media channels, Instagram, TikTok, and things like that. I think what, we're both saying is this time, I don't just think it's depression. I think it's despair. I think it's that final, not that, all depression doesn't feel awful, but it's like that final, I don't know, that final step. I didn't even realize things could go so bad. I was telling you, I went to school to become a counselor at a graduate level. So I've been trained in this, and it's bad when you know that you yourself are in denial and your mind is insistent on being in denial of the fact that it's gotten so bad. just maintain the facade at all costs. Because if I really let myself get seen, then what if everyone else was right?
But the people that have put those thoughts into your head are a particular very small subset of the human population.
I just seem to have attracted all of them at once.
Well, but you have insisted on staying with them, and you've chosen, and in that 3 years, I've watched you choose people from outside, and bring them in. But those are people who have the exact same opinion.
It's like if you find yourself like living the same story just with different faces each time. It was bad familiar.
Who's the common denominator in that, though?
It's me.
Yeah.
I'm the problem, it's me. I'm the solution, it's me. Tribute to Taylor Swift. But y'all, I want to deflect so bad. It's hard being in my body. It's hard talking about hard things. Being authentic is hard. You know, Brene Brown said this quote that I'm not even going to attempt to butcher, but I think this is what she meant.
I can put it in that subtitle.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Give us your paraphrase.
Okay, y'all, but listen, take this with like 10 grains of salt. So I think she said, you can't comment on just these issues like that don't have these black and white answers, right? The messy parts of life. And those parts are usually associated with vulnerability. So you can't judge the effects of being authentic until you are brave enough to show up to the arena and endure the pain of rejection, because chances are you're going to fail a lot more times, at least from my experience, than you stumble upon the right way, one of the right ways, I don't know, before you create the right way. So, I'm going to run the experiment. And would you like to tell them what the experiment is?
Well, Maham was saying that if she didn't think anybody wanted to listen, but we've put things on Instagram and we've put things on Facebook, and we have thousands of people that are listening, and we're gonna prove that again, because she has something to say. She has a unique point of view on the world. You have a unique point of view on God. You have things that you want to share that I know of, that I think that the world needs to hear.
We're talking about my crazy ideas about revising Abraham Maslow's first hierarchy of needs, or replacing, well, you gave me that one, replacing thorium with uranium, or just all, y'all, I just think in ideas. I be in my head more than I be on earth. Like, I think in theories all the time. But you seem to be the crazy one that thinks that they might actually work. That maybe authenticity might actually work. Maybe in a world that's burgeoning with artificial intelligence, and especially post-COVID, like, human connection is just becoming more and more scarce. I mean, you seem to think that somehow when all this value and money and everything is put behind numbers and p-values and chi-squared values, that one story of one random person who doesn't have it super good and hasn't had it super bad, I mean, like, that is gonna make a difference. Like, I don't understand. My story's not that important. I wanted it to be. There was a time where I genuinely wanted it to be. I think I'm more tired now.
But I think the whole world is more tired now.
You're not wrong there.
So.
You're not wrong there. Going back to the POTS kind of thing, the physiological symptoms of chronic stress, right? Who would I be kidding if I didn't associate the fact that my sympathetic nervous system doesn't have an off button with all these different symptoms I'm having now of syncopes and, heart arrhythmias and scary stuff. Like, it all caught up to me. The body keeps score. The world's just getting harder and harder. We can't slow down because we've got to do something, I think. Do you know what it is? No, I have no idea. I'm just doing it because the next person's doing it. I guess I'll do it too. And I feel like I'm talking too much, but I'm going to say this one thing. My sweet daughter, who I thank y'all, she has been here before. She showed me a YouTube short of 7 pictures you should see before you die. And there was one picture, like one, that really just touched my heart and still does. And it was the picture of Albert Einstein, my favorite scientist, theorist of all time. A picture of his desk the day he died. And that man looked like he was finding the next cure to, like, I don't know, influenza, if that was back then. There's always more to do, and society is just causing us to disrupt our autonomous regulation period. This is just one example of how chronic stress, it's not just all in our head, y'all. There is a psychosomatic component to it. I am living testament of that. And then you get in this fun, insidious feedback loop because then you stress out about getting stressed out, and then, like, your symptoms increase, but sometimes your symptoms go first and you don't know if the egg or the chicken came first. And why don't healthcare systems reform themselves to include mental health care? Because on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I don't think it's just food, water, shelter anymore. I think if we don't have some level, and I don't know what it is, I don't know if it's touch, but some level of human connection, some sense of love and belonging within this entire world, then we are inevitably creating dysfunctional individuals. I think it's gotten that bad. What are your thoughts?
Well, we're clearly living in a dysfunctional society right now here in the United States, and I think it's worldwide. But the United States, we have. Just a week ago we had political assassinations, and that was last week, and it's already fallen out of the news.
That makes me so sad. That's why I don't watch the news. I know that doesn't help, but I'm like the ostrich in the sand. But I think I might have an idea. I think I might have an idea, and some ideas that, I don't think will solve things. We're far from that. We're going to need a lot more of us to do that. But I have some theories that might just work. What do you think?
I know you do, because we've been talking about them for 3 years.
Who was the girl that you met? Can you describe her to me? And you're going to see a lot of this, guys. I tend to just shift. And it's not because, I have a personality disorder. It's not that. It's because I deflect talking about feelings because they're so intense. Thanks, grad school. But I will often bounce between topics and talk about in circles until my mind feels ready to process the emotion, the big feeling. And so I just got to thinking, like, I was Mrs. Sunshine. Sunshine's the important part. Globe, I don't know, 2023, I think, y'all. I might have butchered that. But sunshine. And the way that was introduced was, do you know someone that no matter what's going on in their life, they just walk into a room and they make it brighter? They leave every person feeling a little more hopeful, a little more light, a little more loved. Who is she?
Well, but that is you.
Not this version.
Well, but you bring that to other people, but you're not bringing it to yourself.
That's because I haven't decided to live yet. And I don't mean that I mean that in a very existential way. Not in like an actual way. I don't know if I've decided to thrive yet, I guess might be a better reframe of it.
Okay.
Just kind of surviving.
But you don't like that. You're not enjoying that, just surviving. So what's the alternative?
Let myself be seen. Instead of isolating and not talking to people that I know will remind me of my worth when I can't see it for years. I'm scared to be seen. I'm scared that when really bad things were happening to me and people told me, the reason I'm doing this is because it's you. There's something inherently wrong with you. It would crush my soul if I found evidence. And y'all, I have been finding that evidence, and you can confirm that, for most of my life. And I've held it together. And tried. Not perfectly by so far, but I've tried. I just don't know. Sometimes maybe my kids that I teach, maybe my purpose is just to affect other lives. To just, I had a little girl, y'all. Okay, this is the sweetest story. I'm sure I probably told you this, but I'm currently working as an early childhood interventionist and family counselor, so kind of went back to my roots. But I was teaching kindergarten before, and or 4K, or I don't know, tiny humans. I always get those confused. So tiny humans, and one of my tiny humans' birthdays was coming up, and she was so excited, and her parents surprised her with the best trip of the world. What's the best place to go when you're a child? Disney World. And so they took her there, and she was next to Mickey Mouse, and she looked a little sad. And her mom asked her, hey, for this purposes, Nancy, you know what? Why the frown? And Mickey Mouse was around the corner, and he asked Nancy, or told Nancy actually, you can make any wish you want. I can make all wishes come true. This is, magical. This is Disney World. And she said it out loud, and her wish, y'all, you know what she wished for? This is how I know that, there is some success. Is she wished that she could be with me, her teacher, for her birthday and for that moment. Like in that moment, I literally think I like that was just like my win. I've done it. I've affected so many beautiful souls that were so beautiful to begin with. And I'm so confident with every fiber of my being that they are going to affect so many more lives. I thought I had a story to tell, but maybe that's just not my, function. And I'm okay with that now.
But I think you do have a story to tell.
You know firsthand how much the system has failed me. So why get up and try again to face that same not understanding, people just simplifying, oversimplifying, women getting underrepresented in especially cases that have anything to do with the interaction of two people. I mean, I don't know how to say that better, but and I know I'm not alone in that. I firsthand know I'm not alone in that. It takes a lot of courage to just keep going and going and going. Like, why are we butting our heads against a wall?
Because it's not going to change unless some people butt their heads against the wall.
Well, those people are going to be stronger than I am. I mean,
You're as strong as you want to be.
yeah, God says, what is it? Like, he can't give you more than you can't bear. I mean, I feel like his trust in me and my trust in me are like very different quantities. I need to have a conversation with him about that. Tell me, I'm ready to listen now. Tell me about the girl that you met.
So I had someone come into my studio for a photo shoot and I'd photographed you before, but I had you came in on January 2nd of 2022, and you were late, of course. That goes without saying.
ADHD probs. I'm Princess Jasmine. Don't account for traffic. I have a magic carpet, I think, in my head.
So, but I wanted to do. We were going to do some experiments with intentional blur in photographs and that. And you said, "Well, I'm going to act out is it five stages of grief, 8 stages of grief, however many stages of grief you were acting out."
That sounds like something I would do.
And we were doing. I was taking pictures of you acting out the stages of grief. And it got darker and darker and darker. It got really, and finally, finally you said, "I can't do it anymore." And I said, "Okay." I put the camera down, and we started to talk. And I'm not going to share all of that.
That's my story to tell, I guess. If people want to listen, that's the experiment, right?
But you got real with me.
Authentic.
And the story that you were telling me was how when you were a young woman who had moved from the east to the west, and you couldn't find anybody else's book. You wanted to find a book that somebody else who had been through that journey, and it wasn't out there.
There were books, but they're not the nitty-gritty books that talk about the hard stuff like dating and arranged marriages and, trauma and the R word and, all of that abuse. I didn't find anything like that.
So you wanted to write that.
I did, didn't I?
And like I say, I had no doubt that you could do it. I still have no doubt that you could do it. And then, like I say, a day later or 2 days later, you sent me some of your writing, and I mean, I didn't doubt you for a second, but I'm like, holy shit, this girl can play on a global level.
I think, again, your opinions and my opinions of my skills are so different.
So the experiment that we were talking about before we started rolling this was we're gonna see which of us is right.
What's our hypothesis? Well, what's the question? Let's start with the problem, y'all. I'm really good at scientific methods, so I used to teach middle school science. So we've got to have a problem.
So the problem is whether one that was the way you used to phrase it, whether one person can make a difference.
I don't think I'm important enough to make such a big problem, address such a big problem. I feel like that needs to come from people who are in, like, positions that can actually, like, change people.
Yeah, but those people that are in those positions at the moment, are they doing anything?
Not really, but there's also compassion to be had on them because they're bound by a system as well, you know?
Okay. I'm not being not compassionate with them, but they're not seeing this as the base of all the other problems. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think this is part of the root of the problem. We're not going to be able to get along on a global scale if we can't get along on
a micro scale. And human connection is just becoming so uncomfortable for people these days. Like, put people at, like, a restaurant or, like, at a bar or, like, a coffee shop where they're sitting close or next to each other. Every single one of them is on their phones. Like, their nonverbal body language is just so closed off. It's, like, uncomfortable. It's like they're crawling out of their skins. But, so long story short, your hypothesis is yes. And specifically that one person being me.
One person being Maham.
Y'all, there's so many different versions. I don't even know which one's right. I don't even know if there's a right or wrong. But with my current state of mind, I guess the most honest truthful hypothesis that I can make is we're just not there yet as a society for this to actually work. And I think it's really noble of me to have tried. And I think it's so powerful that authors like Brene Brown and other people are trying. I envy the strength and the resilience they must have faced to get to the places that they are now. And I also just don't feel like I'm cut out for it. So I say no. And so, kind of to summarize that despair conversation, because obviously, there's lots of talking me off of lots of ledges, we decided to give this a shot. And the procedure is y'all. Y'all are a target audience, producing X amount of, episodes per week. I don't know, per day. I have no idea. We'll come up with a methodology later. But I owe you that much for how much you've impacted my life. Here goes nothing. Oh. What makes you so sure it's going to work?
Because I've seen into your soul. I know what's in there. Probably more than anybody ever has. Only because you chose to share that. I didn't drag it out of you.
Yeah. And I don't understand how you still find me tolerable. Like, you must be a brand of crazy to have stuck around through the many brands of crazy that I am.
There's a possibility of that.
Yeah. Do you think I love people?
I know you love people.
Sometimes I think I say that to trick myself, to maybe convincing myself that I'm a good person.
Well, you are a good person, but the question, this is about self-love. Do you love yourself?
No, my self-hatred is greater than my desire to do anything else right now. I don't want to be an author. I don't want influence. I'm just tired. Like, my heart's literally tired. Like, for real. It cannot keep up at the same rate as it used to.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily have to keep up with the same rate that it used to.
Yeah, well, I don't like all things that are not all or black, white or black thinking. I confuse them, all or nothing, black and white thinking. So thank you for pulling me out of that. But yes, continue.
So we're going to make some episodes, and we're going to see whether they have an impact on people.
I don't know why anyone would want to listen to this.
Well, we're going to find out.
I guess so. You're going to be wrong.
Okay.
Why are you not more competitive?
I've been wrong before.
Well, cue depression. Dang, you didn't have to say it like that. So yes, we will see. TBD.